Welcome to devlog number 2 of the roguelike I'm making called A Part of You. As mentioned in the last devlog, I worked on adding creatures to the dungeons. Originally, I had plans to work on adding structures to the dungeon generation, but those plans quickly changed as I worked more and more on the creatures. I've spent probably like 10 to 20 hours at this point just writing code. First things first. I needed the dungeon to be able to handle creatures. As it was, the dungeon floor was basically just a grid of true or false values, where true means there's a ground tile and false means there's empty void. So I needed to add another layer to the dungeon floor to contain all of the creature's information. But instead of just adding another grid, I made a system to handle any number of layers. This makes it much easier to add separate layers for things like light sources, traps, liquids, obstacles, interactable objects, and more. Now that the dungeon can store information, I need to make it so that the creatures can actually do something. So I created a system where creatures have a set of behaviors. These behaviors will act as the brain of the creatures and will provide recommendations for what action a creature should perform. An example of a behavior could be, if an enemy is within 2 tiles, prefer to move in the opposite direction. After collecting all the recommended actions from these behaviors, the creatures will randomly pick an action to perform based on how strongly these actions are recommended. This means that creatures will still do random things, but they can have preferences based on which behaviors they have. Creatures can have any combination of these behaviors, as well as biases towards certain behaviors. In the future, I plan to create a system that will mix and match these behaviors to randomly generate unique creatures that each have their own personalities. Now that creatures can do things, they need to know when to do them. This is where the turn queue comes in. The turn queue keeps track of the order that creatures do things and who the currently acting creature is. The way it works is the turn queue will take the next creature in the queue and signal to the creature that it's their turn. Once the creature is done taking its turn, it will signal back to the turn queue that it's done. The turn queue will put the creature to the back of the queue and then signal the next creature. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to press left, lock it in to that corner, and then it should give me back control, because in theory it should use pass. It did. Now I have control, it has control. It successfully did nothing. Let's go. Let's ramp it up. 10 NPCs? No. 100 NPCs? Now that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, look at them NPCs. Oh god. Oh. It takes so long for it to get back to my turn. Oh my word. Everybody's shuffling around. Have you kept track of which one is me? This is quite funny. You know what? Screw it. 500. Let's fill up the entire thing. Let's see if we can make it happen. Oh my word. That's like half. There's not even... Okay. I'm gonna have to wait like 3 minutes before I can make my turn. Oh, look at them all go though. Oh, if I get stuck, I don't have the ability to pass. Okay, well, I got stuck. Alright, well, I mean, hey, at least the queuing system works. The movement behavior works. The collisions work. Like, they can't overlap each other. And they can't exit the dungeon. I would probably say that's a success. Well, now that that's done, I'm going to need some better visuals so I can actually tell what's happening. I'm going to go with a pixel art theme because I've only ever attempted art a few times, and let's just say I've got a lot of improving to do. I finished making a temporary sprite for the creatures, and I started messing around with Godot's tile sets and tile maps to draw the dungeon. Because the dungeon layout is procedurally generated, I needed some way of knowing which tiles from the tile set to place in any given location. The solution I came up with was to use the surrounding dungeon tiles to determine the location of the tile in the tile set. For example, if a tile is completely surrounded by other ground tiles, that would correspond to the tile in this location in the tile set. Or, if a tile only has ground on top and to the right, that would correspond to the tile in this location. After some slight tweaking, let me just make sure this works. Kind of. It almost works. And now it works. Ta-da! Where is it? It's there, it's just over here. Okay, so maybe my simplification was not correct. You can kind of almost tell. Nah, this is gonna be entirely unintelligible. I have 10 errors? Bro, what happened? Let's just confirm that this works. It does not. I finally got it working properly. There we go. Hey, would you look at that? Now we can walk around the dungeon, and it's got these neat little outline things here. I then did the same with the non-ground tiles of the dungeon and adjusted the sprites until I got something I liked. These sprites most likely won't make it to the final game, but at least I have something more pleasing to look at while I'm testing. While improving the visuals, I also made it so the camera moves smoothly and doesn't wander out of the dungeon. Well, that's going to be it for this devlog. In the next one, I'll hopefully be adding more interesting things to the dungeon besides just ground. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I'll get to see you in the next one, but until then, peace.